Roly here to share with you something really exciting. We as Catholics believe that Jesus Christ is really truly present in the Eucharist. For some people, that might seem impossible to believe, but beyond faith, there has been a number of miracles that reaffirm this teaching. Some of these miracles are from long ago, and others are much more recent. God has sent us these miracles, so we, like some of the apostles, who doubted until he could see some marks of crucifixion, can see for ourselves that Jesus is really there. Let's get into it.
Miracle of Lanciano, Italy.
In the 8th century, a priest in Lanciano, Italy, was experiencing doubts with the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. In the middle of saying Mass, he said the words of consecration, "This is my body, this is my blood," and saw the bread and wine transform into real human flesh and blood. The blood coagulated into 5 globules, later believed to be representative of the 5 wounds of Christ. Word of the miracle quickly spread, the local archbishop launched an investigation, and the church approved the miracle. The flesh is still preserved to this day. Professor of Anatomy Adorno Linoli conducted a scientific analysis of the flesh in 1971 and concluded that the flesh was cardiac tissue. The blood appeared to be fresh blood, as opposed to blood that was 1,200 years old, and there was no trace of preservatives. You can visit the miraculous flesh and blood in the Church of San Francesco in Lanciano, Italy.
The Corporal of Bolsena.
A priest who had been experiencing doubts about transubstantiation was celebrating Mass in Orvieto, Italy. Soon after he had consecrated the Eucharist, the host began bleeding onto the corporal, a liturgical cloth, on the altar. The priest, the story goes, ran to the Pope who was visiting the town and confessed his sin of doubt. The corporal remains on display in the Cathedral of Orvieto.
The Hosts of Siena.
On August 14, 1730, while the Catholics of Siena, Italy, were attending a special festival for the eve of the Feast of the Assumption, thieves entered the church of St. Francis and stole a golden ciborium containing hundreds of consecrated hosts. 2 days later, someone noticed something white protruding from the offering box at another church in Siena. The priests opened the box and found the missing hosts inside, entangled in cobwebs and dirt. After being cleaned as much as possible, the hosts were placed in a new ciborium and taken back to the Church of St. Francis for prayers of reparation and veneration. Since the hosts were dirty, the priests decided not to consume them, but let them simply deteriorate. After the next few decades, everyone was amazed to see that the hosts did not deteriorate, but actually appeared fresh. The hosts remain in this state today, 285 years later, and can still be seen in what is now the Basilica of St. Francis in Siena, Italy.
The Miracle of Chirattakonam.
On April 28, 2001, there was Eucharistic adoration at St. Mary's Parish in Chirattakonam, India, when suddenly 3 red stains materialized on the host. The priest didn't know what to do and placed the host back into the tabernacle. A few days later, he retrieved the host to examine it again, and the red stains had arranged themselves to look like the face of a man. He quickly found a photographer and had pictures taken of the host.
The Miracle of Santarém.
A woman living in Santarém, Portugal in the 13th century was distressed that her husband was unfaithful to her, so she decided to consult a sorceress for help. The sorceress told her the price for services was a consecrated host. She went to Mass at the Church of St. Stephen and received the Eucharist on her tongue, removed the Eucharist from her mouth, wrapped it in her veil, and headed to the door of the church. But before she got out, the host began to bleed. When she got home, she put the bloodied host in a trunk. That night, a miraculous light emanated from the trunk. She repented of what she had done, and the next morning confessed to her priest. Her priest came and retrieved the host and took it back to the church. After an investigation and approval of the miracle, the church was renamed Church of the Holy Miracle, and the bloodied host remains on display to this day.